Rogers, Mike, what's your take on the deal?
Boy, I'm very, very concerned about the deal. If you think about it, there are 6 different UN resolutions saying you cannot enrich uranium. The day of the deal, the day the deal is announced, the Iranians are already saying this deal guarantees we can continue to enrich uranium. It didn't even touch the ballistic missile part of their program, and the other portion, it didn't touch any of the military research facilities where we believe that they were working on triggers and other very key components to a robust nuclear weapons program. So here's, at the end of the day, here's why and I've listened to the debate here, this notion that it's this deal or war is just absolute nonsense. What we were doing in Congress, we did the first round of sanctions, and the president he was opposed to that. The second round of sanctions was opposed to it. He spent the last 3 months in Congress saying, don't do another round of sanctions. In a huge bipartisan vote, the House passed another round of sanctions, because what you want to do is set the table. You want the Iranians to come to you and say, I am ready for a deal. What happened was the administration said, hey, we really want a deal. We're going to even lessen, they threw reducing the pressure of sanctions on the table before they even got there. I just think that's a serious mistake, and it's almost really difficult to unwind. In addition, nothing was touched on the Quds Force that is participating in political assassinations around the world, is engaged in pretty brutal behavior in Syria, supported by the Iranian regime, tried to kill the Saudi ambassador right here in Washington, D.C. None of that was touched. And again, I think this was a deal for the sake of a deal, and I think that's dangerous. It makes the next 6 months even more difficult to get to a place where we need to be, where we can say we feel comfortable they're not pursuing a nuclear program.
Chuck Todd's in Washington. He's got a question. Chuck.
Congressman, the likelihood that you guys are going to send a tougher sanctions bill to the president in the House and the Senate, do you think that there is something that gets sent to his desk in the next, say, 6 to 8 weeks where he's got to make a decision, where you force him to potentially veto it, or do you pass something that acknowledges this deal and then the tougher sanctions kick in either if they violate this agreement or at the 6-month mark?
I think you're going to see, well, the House already passed this next round of tough sanctions. And by the way, we were finally getting to the Iranian elite. That's why this thing was pinching so badly in Iran, that they were finally starting to feel this pressure and needed to do something about it. That's why I think this is a huge lost opportunity. We passed it in the House. It's sitting in the Senate. So what I think you're going to do is see a lot of intensive discussions over the next few weeks with our Senate counterparts, and I think folks from who believe this is not a great deal, our Arab League partners, Israel, a bipartisan coalition in the House. I mean, that to me says a lot, that you have all of these groups and you're starting to change the strategic alliances we have in the Middle East because of the deal. I think you're going to see a lot of pressure to go another round of sanctions and passed out of the Senate.
All right.
Congressman Mike Rogers, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Hey,
we appreciate it.
Thanks.
Hey,
all right.
Bill, we heard Bill from Prime Minister Netanyahu yesterday, obviously calling it a bad deal. Very disappointed with this. What do you think happens after the 6 months? Let's call it May 24th. Iran has not made good progress in dismantling parts of its program or slowing it down at least. What do you believe?